What is up, everyone? Today we'll be showcasing two new additions to the Open Great League meta, Tapu Fini and Araquanid. Both of these are absolute monsters in the Open Great League, especially Araquanid is just super good. It's finally a Pokemon that hard walls Walrein, something that we've desperately needed, because Walrein has just been way too strong the past couple months. It's ridiculous, but finally we have Araquanid, which just completely destroys it. Nothing Walrein can throw at it can hit it for hard hitting damage because everything is resisted and you're hitting back with those neutral bug bites and bug buzzes. And Araquanid is also so incredibly tanky too. It's like Azumarill level bulk, and then in combination with Bubble Beam you can survive so many charge moves. It's honestly pretty ridiculous what Araquanid can do. Besides beating or completely obliterating Walrein, it also destroys Swampert, most common fighters like Scrafty and Metacham. Also destroys Dark types, Psychic types, alongside others. And even in bad matchups, you can hit Bubble Beams and just completely destroy your opponent's attack stat, which can come in handy, you know, for your other Pokemon on the team. Talk about other Pokemon. I am pairing it with a Kanto Ninetales Lead, because Araquanid does lose pretty hard versus most Steel types, like Skarmory, like Registeel, like Galarian Stunfisk, which Galarian Stunfisk actually not horrible, but I wouldn't call it a good matchup at all. So Kanto Ninetales helps there too. Also gets destroyed by Nidoqueen and Altaria, two matchups where Kanto Ninetales doesn't do the best, but versus Nidoqueen you at least have play, and Altaria luckily isn't that common. But yeah, Kanto Ninetales, pretty decent core with Araquanid, and also a Tapu Fini, which I am running in the middle. Tapu Fini will be kind of my safe switch. I wouldn't call it too safe, because something like a Registeel still kind of destroys you, but at least if I lure out the Registeel with Tapu Fini, then Araquanid will have a good matchup in the back. So it's kind of like an ABB line, and it ended up working really well. Let's head into the rest of these battles. Next game, we see a Cofagrigus Lead. This is really where I want to see the Cofagrigus, because Araquanid can't really hit it that hard, because it's resisting all your bug moves. So I gotta stay in here, use my Ninetales here, even though I don't think this is a great matchup. I can hit it with a Weather Ball spam, which should be pretty good. In comes a Bastion at this point. Bastion is actually a huge problem for this team, because both Kanto Ninetales and Araquanid just get destroyed by it. Luckily, it's not too common though, and if it is on the team, I'm just gonna hope that that my Tapu Fini can kill it with Water Guns and Surfs. Thing is though, Bastion is super tanky. Surf isn't that great of a move. If they shoot up this move, they can grab switch advantage here, so that is not too great. I could have maybe considered shielding the Stone Edge earlier, but then I would have gone 2 shields down, which is not ideal either. I'll just go for the Weather Ball here to take a shield. They have a Stone Edge stored, but I'm gonna deny all that energy or take a shield of them here. I'm gonna shield again, because at this point I can either throw another Weather Ball to get rid of the Bastion or farm him down. In comes the Cofagrigus. I throw my Overheat immediately to kill this thing. Honestly, a bit of a misplay, I think, because I could have overfarmed a lot more. I'm gonna wait to see what comes in here. If it's Bastion, I want to stay in with Ninetales, but it's actually the Walrein. This is the bread and butter matchup for Araquanid. This is what it is praised for. Look at this damage. It's praised for a good reason, because that did absolutely nothing. Unfortunately though, you can't completely bug bite this down. But you can gain up to like 100 energy and then throw the bug buzz, and you'll have like 40 energy to spare afterwards, or you can even undercharge and end up with more energy. It is really nice. To bring in a Bastion on here, luckily it's low enough to where a Bubble Beam does knock it out, or barely. The subsequent bug bites will. Then I throw a bug buzz onto the Walrein and it should almost knock it out. You know what's also nice about bug buzz? You can also drop the opponent's defense, so the times that happens, it's also super nice. Anyway, that was a good game. GG. Next match, Azumarill Lead. That is super bad. Just want to switch into Tapu Fini here. In comes a Galvantula. If I get like a 3 Water Gun lead, I can actually get to my Surf before their discharge here, but barely wasn't able to get to the discharge, and it does knock out. Unfortunately, at this point, I want to farm this down with Ninetales. I'm looking too good though, because I'm also not running Solar Beam on this Ninetales, and That's actually for a good reason. I think Overheat is just much, much stronger. Sometimes Solar Beam would come in handy like here to like one-shot Azumarill, but most of the times Overheat is just much better as a nuke move. And you can still bait the move. Like right there, they actually shielded up a potential Solar Beam even though I didn't have it, so that's really, really nice. I go into my Araquanid here. This is, again, pretty decent matchup for Araquanid, actually. You're hitting Azumarill with only resisted moves with Bug Buzz and Bug Bite, and they're hitting with neutral Play Roughs, but you still win that matchup, which is just insane. This just goes to show how much bulk Araquanid has. Alright, in comes Frostlass. This is another bad matchup for Araquanid in the back, actually. A Ghost type, again. Which is not so good because it's resisting everything. At this point though, I just want to Bubble Beam this twice. Try to get the clock down. What needs to happen now is I need to be able to switch into K9 and go for double Weather Ball. But unfortunately, I get to the Shadow Ball before I can do that. I actually end up like catching here, which is kind of unfortunate. I also couldn't take that damage on Araquanid though, because I needed to save enough health to be able to survive a Play Rough from the Azu. So the game was just over at that point. GG. Galarian Stunfisk Lead is really not too bad. You win this in the ones just going straight. Weather Ball, you can take one Rock Slide just barely, but you can't take it. My opponent throws on a very weird timing here on 6 Mud Shots, but they do get lucky. I don't get my move through. Usually you should get your move through, of course. I go for the Overheat, actually. This is a very dumb move, but every single Galarian Stunfisk I've seen has no shield my first move. So I go for the big one this time, because they actually don't die to a Weather Ball. They would have died to that, but unfortunately this time they shield. Trevenant comes in. This is actually not a bad matchup for Tapu Fini in the zeros, because the Moonblast almost knocks out, and the Seed Bomb doesn't knock out. You can actually Water Gun this down if they Seed Bomb. My opponent's very smart. Shadow Ball does slightly more, so that actually ends up taking me out. Which is fine, because now I get some extra energy on K9. In comes an Azu. Not great. Really not great. But I can still Overheat it. If I had Solar Beam, of course, this would have been much better. But again, Overheat usually the play. And still does a lot of damage to this Azumarill. Like, that's a very solid chunk of damage. Just gonna let this go now, and now I'm gonna need a Araquanid to sweep up this team. I just want to save a shield for Galarian Stunfisk now. It's still a decent amount of health, but 2 Bubble Beams might be able to knock it out. And with the Bug Bites, which, by the way, these Bug Bites are really ending up, and a Bug Buzz, I should be able to take out the Azu as well. Gonna shield up this Rock Slide, of course, because it is the hardest hitting move. It's not debuffed yet. I'm gonna throw a Bubble Beam, but this Bubble Beam actually doesn't do enough damage. 2 aren't gonna KO, so I'm just gonna go for the Bug Buzz. I'm assuming they're gonna no shield, thinking that I'm gonna Bubble Beam, and it doesn't knock out. But a Bug Buzz, it knocks out. In comes the Azu. At this point though, I am in a range where 2 Play Roughs will knock out. Look at this. 1 Play Rough does more than half of my remaining HP. So, I'm gonna go for the Bubble Beam here. But will this be enough to where I can survive another Play Rough is the real question. They do have a shield at this point. I've just got a Bug Bite down. They get to the move at 1 HP. Will this do enough? I'm at less than 20% health. It can't survive, right? No. But Araquanid is tanky enough, and I survive it, and it's a really good game. GG's. The Deoxys defense lead is pretty fine for Kanto Ninetales. They don't usually run Rock Slide anymore, so it's kind of neutral. And they usually don't expect the Overheat, so they let this go, please. No, this time the Deoxys actually shielded, which is kind of unfortunate. I'm going to switch in Tapu Fini in here, which kind of a dumb play, honestly. I should have let them throw a Thunderbolt or Psycho Boost into my K9 before switching out. This is fine though. They bring in the Lurantis. I should be able to survive 1 Leaf Blade here and then get to the Moonblast, which probably warrants a shield from this Lurantis. Moonblast, pretty hard hitting move on a Galassi Pokemon. Probably almost knocks him out, so they do shield it up. Unfortunately though, they will be able to farm down my Tapu Fini even before I get to the Surf, unfortunately. I'm gonna go in with Kanto Ninetales here. At this point, their team has actually been double weak to Araquanid with Deoxys and Lurantis. So I'm hoping they just completely forgot about the existence of Araquanid and just, you know, have a third week to it. That'd be really nice. They throw a Leaf Blade here, which I let go because I expect there might be harder hitting moves in the back, which might be true. If this thing has Sludge Wave, I think that probably hits harder. I don't know what Swamperts these days are running though. I think most are running Earthquake because it's kind of necessary to have like a consistent matchup versus Registeel. So I think Earthquake currently is preferred move, but I'm gonna shield anyway. And I should end up shielding a Hydro Cannon, which obviously is a big mistake. I think even if he had Sludge, I should have no shielded because his a Thunderbolt from Deoxys probably does more. So I think big mistake shooting up the Swampert there, even if he had Sludge. But I might still be able to do it. My opponent throws a Psycho Boost here. I think he might have been able to reach a Thunderbolt, but I'm actually pretty close to the Bug Buzz. He also tries to catch there, but didn't happen. I think even without that catch though, I would have reached the Bug Buzz before Thunderbolt. So I think it was a fine attempt by my opponent, but the Spider, Araquanid, is just too good, and we take the win. GG's. Sirfetch'd Lead is kind of awkward for Kanto Ninetales since it kind of struggles against counter users if they have like low energy charge moves such as Night Slash, since the counters just add up so much. So I'm gonna switch into my Tapu Fini to resist those counters. The Leaf Blades though, I'm definitely gonna have to shield because they would probably get close to knocking out. Going for the Surf here. Taking a shield. I think I lose this in the 2-shield probably, but if I can take both shields, that'll be fine, because then I can hopefully just overheat whatever they have on their team in the back with Kanto Ninetales. With Sirfetch'd, it can't really be anything, but it's usually some type of steel type, which Kanto Ninetales, of course, is pretty good against. Unless it's Galarian Stunfisk, then I might still be in trouble, but then I can overheat, so might still be fine. Ends up being a Registeel. They still have a shield though, which, whoa, even for Kanto Ninetales is not great facing a Registeel with shield. But look at this damage Tapu Fini already put in. Like, even versus Registeel, this is a losing matchup of course for Fini. But it put in so much work already, putting it into the yellow. And we see a Swampert in the back, actually, which is super, super good for Araquanid. Honestly, I'm very surprised my opponent didn't go for Switch Advantage. I feel that if they would have just, you know, shield their Sirfetch'd, they would have had Swampert on my K9 and then Registeel on my Araquanid. So it would have definitely won the game, but I guess they weren't expecting Araquanid in the back. To be fair, if it was anything but Araquanid in the back, they probably could have won with shield advantage Swampert. Even if it was like Trevenant, which they might have expected. Swampert actually wins that with a shield up. So yeah, they probably made a decent move here. Just unfortunate for them that it ended up being Araquanid, but very fortunate for me because this game is definitely over. GG. Altaria Lead is really horrible for my team since it was both my Kanto Ninetales and my Araquanid, so I gotta stay in here, just do as much chip damage as I can with the Ninetales, starting with this overheat, which actually does a ton of damage onto this Altaria. Like bringing it into the yellow with resisted moves is pretty impressive on a Pokemon like Altaria. I'm gonna go straight for the server, but they catch it on their Azumarill. Really nice catch. Apparently they don't really have a solid answer to Tapu Fini. I was expecting with Altaria Lead they would have like a harder answer, but they don't, which I guess is fine for me. I can bring this quite low with this Moonblast. I'm actually surprised they didn't throw the Play Rough yet, but I guess they're just not really aware of the counts to Moonblasts. And decided to just overfarm to be safe. Though they could have definitely just killed me before I got there. It's 18 turns for the Play Rough and it's 20 turns for the Moonblast. So just so you're aware, if the Tapu Fini is energy dry, you can get to the Play Rough before they can get to the Moonblast. Anyway, this point it's low enough to where I can farm it down with Araquanid. They switch into the Altaria here though. Gotta shield that. I'm gonna throw one Bubble Beam in here just to get some chip damage off, and then I'm gonna switch to Kanto Ninetales, and hopefully I can farm down the Altaria before it's able to get to a Sky Attack, and I barely am able to do that. They definitely died there with the Sky Attack, so that's pretty fortunate. What's gonna come in now? Probably the third Pokemon, and it is the Medicham. Interesting team by my opponent here. Very weak to Azumarill and Charmers, actually, but they are not anywhere to be seen in the current meta. They actually no-shield my Weather Ball here, which is crazy. Overheat would have basically knocked out there. So nice call by my opponent there. And they actually throw a move here too, which is very interesting. I think they should have definitely just farmed down there. But except they power up punch, they get one more counter there because they're undercharged. At this point, this is kind of a bait game. Well, not for me though. I'll just go straight Bubble Beam. Even if they no shield, that's super fine. I can just farm all the way down. But I am no shielding this. I actually thought Psychic wouldn't do that much. But it did. And now I'm just gonna get countered down. I definitely should have shielded that, but again, it would have been a bait game. If they had Power Punch and I shielded, it would have also been over. So, kind of a 50-50, but I do think the odds of them Psychicking was higher than them Power Punching, so I think I should have shielded. I think that was definitely the play. Anyway, next game, we have Umbreon into War Kanto Ninetales. Yeah, I end up doing something dumb here, honestly. I want to be fancy here and catch a foul play with my Tapu Fini. But I thought they would throw at 6, and then they end up throwing at 5, and then I thought they would overfarm by 1, but they throw immediately, so I actually end up using a shield here, which is very stupid, and I have a very low Kanto Ninetales. I'm playing this very wrong. Honestly, what I would suggest you to do is either switch into Tapu Fini instantly, or just switch at 4, alright, to try to catch. Now, I do get a catch here on that third foul play, so that is great, but they end up going in with Shadow Victory Bell, and I don't even reach the Surf here, so it's super bad. Bringing the Canine, just gonna throw my Weather Ball instantly. Hopefully they let it go. They do let it go. I feel like if they showed that, they could have just farmed down my my Ninetales, and it would have been pretty bad for me. This is also pretty bad for me though, because Charms hit Araquanid pretty hard, and all the bug moves are resisted, so this is not looking too good. Luckily though, Araquanid is a monster. And if I can get the 2 Bubble Beams here, I might be fine. Unfortunately though, they do get the Defense Rope here, which is not great. I probably should have Bubble Beamed instantly. The thing is though, they already had a switch. So they could, if I Bubble Beamed earlier, they could have just switched into Umbreon. Get to another Bubble Beam here though, still. If this kills, I'm probably fine, but I don't think it kills. It barely doesn't kill. Is it within the range to where I can Bug Bite before 1 Charm though? That's the question now. Come on, where is it? Hello? Comes in, I Bug Bite it down, and it's a good game. GG. Azumarill Lead, super bad, so I switch into my Tapu Fini as I've been doing with any Water Lead. Icon Sableye, definitely not a great answer to a Tapu Fini, but not as bad as you would expect. These Shadow Claws are really adding up, and foul plays, they do a decent chunk. A Sableye can actually win the 2 shield scenario versus Tapu Fini. Just going straight foul play, there's no need for return even. Just going straight foul play, Sableye wins the 2 shield here. On even energy, if Tapu Fini gets like 1 or 2 Water Gun advantage, Tapu Fini can definitely win it. But Sableye does bring me pretty low. And it's very likely they just don't have a great answer to Tapu Fini in the back. Maybe they're running like Alola Marowak. Honestly, their best play would have probably been to stay in with Azumarill versus Tapu Fini, because Azumarill does win this matchup. In, I think, every even shoot scenario, I think you lose 2s actually. I think Azumarill loses 2s versus Tapu Fini, but only if you double bait with Surf and hit the Moonblast, which isn't gonna happen. You're likely just gonna go straight Moonblast, and they might shoot 1 or 2 of those, and then you'll probably lose. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would say it's a favorable matchup for Azumarill just because it has more bulk and doesn't have to bait. But I'm fine with this. I'm expecting another Alolan, or I'm expecting Alola Marowak in the back, actually, which is another Kanto Ninetales answer. Which is not great, but at least I can Bubble Beam it with Araquanid when it comes in, and then my Alola Ninetales, or my Kanto Ninetales, should be fine versus Alola Marowak. I should probably just say Ninetales and Marowak, it's much easier. But yeah, I Bubble Beam this, I try to catch a Shadow Bone, which I don't, that's fine. It's super fine, because they're gonna have to throw anyway, right? And this Bone Club, because of that debuff, it's just gotta do nothing. Like, that's super nice about, that's like the super nice thing about Araquanid, just debuffing your opponents that even negative matchups turn into pretty okay-ish ones, as this Overheat does knock out the Marowak. Bye-bye. In comes Azum. I'm just gonna let this go. At this point, my Araquanid can just take this out. And I might even be able to Overheat this. I didn't think I reached it though, so I go for the Weather Ball, but I had the Overheat. I could have just taken this Azum out with my Canine right there, but I'm not gonna be able to, unfortunately. Yeah, my Araquanid just farms this down at this point, and that is another GG. Well, after I use your shield. This was the end of the video as well. Hope you enjoyed this showcase of Tapu Fini and Araquanid. I think both of these absolute monsters. Especially Araquanid is just super, super good. Definitely build yourself one of those. Tapu Fini, a little more niche, I would say. Azumarill still slightly better, but Tapu Fini definitely has some, like, uses. So if you can, go trade for a decent one of those. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Good luck for your battles.